Hey everyone, welcome in. I'm Jess. The beginning of this stream had a little bit of technical issues, so you didn't get to hear our introductions and everything. But I am joined by Michael from Nerdy Pup Games and illustrator Tan, and we are going to have a nice conversation about Super Squad High, which is currently on Kickstarter. So let's join in on that conversation. There we are. The last 12 hours of the Kickstarter here.
Indeed.
Indeedy. So there you are, friends. If you're wanting to learn more about everything, there's the Kickstarter link right there. So yeah, this is going to be a fun chat. We're going to learn more about Nerdy Pup. We're going to learn more about Tan and their illustrations, more about Super Squad High. And if any of you have some fun questions, gaming related questions you want to ask either of them or both of them, please feel free to pop them in the chat. So, good evening, Slovakia Steph. Welcome in. Anyone else that's lurking and working, just plain lurking, just plain working, or hanging out with us tonight, we appreciate all of you. So I will say, not a spoiler by any means, because if you all have checked the Kickstarter, you know this campaign is fully funded. So, congratulations.
Yeah. Woo!
Yay.
Thank you. Yay!
I know. Yeah, and Michael, you were saying this is y'all's second board game that you all have produced from Nerdy Pup.
Second board game. Yep.
How did you all come about to create board games? Because initially you said you were doing a lot of RPGs and TTRPGs and things like that. Kind of, what was the origin story behind Nerdy Pup and this kind of adaptation to add in tabletop games to your collection?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I've been playing board games for a very long time, over 2 decades. And from early days, I would make changes to games to, just as a creative expression. So I'd say about 8 years ago or so, I started kind of thinking about, well, what if I actually try to publish a game and use crowdfunding? And the first thing that we ever did is we made a little 2-player game called Space Princess. It's a little card game.
Okay.
That we launched on Indiegogo as a charity campaign. So we donated the everything above the board beyond the cost to print the game to some charitable causes, and that was really satisfying to do. And I had other ideas for designs that I was working on, and I had some friends in the industry that were pitching games to publishers, and we kind of saw the kinds of games that publishers were looking for. They didn't really fit the kind of things that I was making. So I thought, well, okay, I'll just try again, and I'll just keep trying to make my own games. And actually, so the first sort of major card or board game release we had was Dungeon Date, which Tan and another artist named Michaela Buon also worked on. Did awesome artwork, character artwork, and background artwork for that.
Rad.
So that was actually how Tan and I first started working together.
Yeah. Okay. What is the premise behind Dungeon Date?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can't just drop that title and not explain it, right?
I mean, people could go on BGG, and look it up themselves, but while you're here.
Right. And I would encourage people to do that. There's we have a lot of really nice people say a lot of nice things about the game out there. Got a couple good reviews. So Dungeon Date is a card game where you are playing a fresh-faced adventurer, like a fantasy adventurer, that is building a fantasy adventure outfit out of different costume cards, or I guess adventuring cards, treasure cards. So you've got a head slot, a body slot, a hand slot, and a foot slot. So you might have a flaming sword in your hand and spider web armor on your body. And all those different items have different style symbols on them. And then you use those styles to not just slay monsters, you can also romance or befriend them.
Okay.
So and then once you've got, so your friends, they can help you out and help you encounter other monsters. Your romanced monsters, you can go on dates with them. So the monsters all have things they like. Say they like either, so they're either good-hearted and they want you to go out and make friends, or they're kind of a little nasty and want you to go murder somebody. That's a date. So it's a competitive game. Everybody, there's like a dungeon in the middle where there are monsters out, and you're all sort of simultaneously choosing what dungeon door you're going to go to. And the conflict, the tension arises with who's going to go to which door, and are you going to have to fight them for the heart of the dark elf that you want to romance.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
Nice. All right.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I will vouch for that.
Thank you.
So when you went to get this game design to fruition, Michael, did you seek out I know you do a lot of the designing and things, but when it comes to all the different aspects of bringing a game from concept to, production, did you look at forums, or how did you get about reaching out to illustrators and artists and, developers and things like that? Like, what was your process looking like?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I started for kind of the crowdfunding approach. That was pretty much the only way I would be able to get to the point where I could pay for the print cost, and it's also good marketing. It's a way to find out if people are actually going to be interested in something you're making, right? So there were a couple blogs out there that were pretty big a few years ago, had lots of advice. So Jamie Stegmaier from Stonemaier Games has a blog, so you're probably familiar with him.
Yes.
And very useful information. Though at this point, most of that information is about 10 years old, and it's becoming a moving target. And then there's James Mathey. He's not with us anymore, but he was kind of one of the pioneers of crowdfunding for board games, and he had a huge blog with lots of really good advice for how to find, how to contact printers and manufacturers, how to find artists, how to do all the little nuts and bolts things that you don't really think about, but are all behind the scenes.
Sure.
These days, there are actually a lot of Facebook groups that you can join if you're a designer, and lots of aspiring designers out there, and as well as experienced publishers and designers that can give you advice. So one group, it's called the Board Game Design Lab Community.
Oh yes,
It's pretty good. So I would recommend that group if anyone's looking to learn more and talk to other designers and find out how to do the whole thing.
Cool. That's awesome. And so Tan, kind of a little segue over to you. So you were on this first project for Dungeon Date. What is your origin story in illustration? Have you always done illustrating for games? Have you done other media? Like, how did you get into being an artist?
Well, I'd always doodle on just everything, as a kid. Like the backside of all of my dad's old files and stuff. That's free doodle paper. But I guess I went to school for animation. So
cool.
Yeah, I do animate, but I feel like animation takes forever to get done. So illustration is more my go-to, because you get to see the finished products straight really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And working with Michael's really fun, because he has really clear ideas that are just really fun to go with, and just go and see how far you can take it.
Yeah.
And it's just very fun. And I love the vision for Super Squad High, because it's bright and colorful, which I feel when you think comic books, people these days are oh, it should be bold lines, kind of less bright and colorful, it's a little harsher, but I think it's really cute the direction that we went for personally.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's very vibrant. if y'all have seen the streams for myself or with Amanda Panda or Reina, you'll see the TTS mod for it, and it's very, very vibrant, and I love it. I love how I think it was like all of our player colors were just like the like secondary colors, so it was like teal and orange and purple and pink, which I think is fantastic. So that's really neat. So Tan, did you have other projects you were working on before you got in touch with Michael, or how did that whole process come about?
I think the way Michael just shot me like a message, I think, on like Twitter or something.
Yeah.
And then we just connected through that. And honestly, like, I just absolutely love working with Michael.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, it's great guy to work with. Awesome products. And like, you get a cool board game at the end. And like, I love board games too. So there's like literally like no bad part about it. It's just all wins. Board games, fun art,
and a nice person.
Board games with nice person.
Yeah,
everything, full package.
That's so great. I'd love hearing those stories, because oftentimes when people are doing collaborations and it's like you reach out to a third party or you're not sure, you're just going based on what you see on the internet. It's kind of like you're rolling the dice in a way, right? So you're just like, is this going to work out? Are we going to have a nice collaboration? And so it always warms my heart to just hear those collaborations when they actually work and they become positive, and great things like, great board games come about from it. So yeah, that's really, really cool to hear that it just like, yay, and everything became out awesome and wonderful, and you all are 2 projects in now working together. That's really neat. Hello, Amanda Panda. Welcome in.
It's Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
She had Michael on, and your lovely partner Sarah, right? Is that your partner's name?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And Reina 88 played some Super Squad High as well, and it was a lot of fun. I saw part of the VOD, and that was really great. So if you want to catch that, be sure to check out Panda's channel. I'm sure everybody here in the chat is already following Panda. She's amazing. But good evening to you, friend. Hope you're having a fantastic night. So when it comes down to board games and things like that, Michael, you were mentioning how this like dungeon date kind of game has a little bit of like a storytelling aspect as well, because like how Super Squad High also has a little bit of storytelling. Were you as a gamer, like growing up, did you enjoy like storytelling games? Were you like into RPGs and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been playing RPGs since I was 12.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just leave that up to your imaginations how long ago that was.
Yes.
Probably longer than you think. It was after The Simpsons had started on TV. A few years after.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, The Simpsons have been on for a while, and I mean, my husband is an avid Simpsons fan, but he only watched it for a certain era. I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but he only watched it for a certain era. And then, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, he stopped watching The Simpsons because he was just all the fun stuff has gone for him. Yeah. Because I think he just grew up with it. And I understand shows like that, you grow. They have to grow with the media and what's happening and, and popular topics and things like that. But he's just oh no, 92 was the epitome of Simpsons content, So it's just oh my word, so funny. So funny. But that's awesome. That's awesome. I could picture you, Michael, as probably one of those kids from Stranger Things, right? You're just gathering 100%. with your friends in the basement. Were you the DM or were you just another character? Okay.
I was. Yeah. I had a friend who was also named Michael. That both of us were the GMs back in those days.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Tan, what about you? You said you enjoy board games. What type of board games do you enjoy?
Well, I honestly just like most of them. I don't get to play deception games very often because my friends and my partner, everyone's oh, I'm too anxious for this. But I really like deception games.
Yeah.
But like, I love cooperative, like oh my god,
Cooperative, yeah.
bad at words. Yes, I love that type of games. I love like recently I've been like really into Wingspan, which I feel like everyone loves Wingspan. And I've just recently been like kind of like obsessing because I'm also like an animal person. So I'm like, this is like the perfect niche of putting stuff together.
Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
My sister is an avid bird person. Like, she doesn't go out to watch birds. She'll sit out in her backyard and just birds just come. You know, when you have a nice backyard, you know, birds just come. So I got her Wingspan because of all of the illustrations of birds in that game. And she feels that she wants to learn the game. So I've taught her the game before too, but she's more interested in just like seeing them as like a giant scrapbook of birds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, however way you get gaming into your life, that's totally cool. But yeah, so yeah, Wingspan is great. Do you actually own a copy of Wingspan, Tan?
I don't own it, but my in-laws do. So that's where we go and get our Wingspan going.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. Send it over to someone else. So that's really cool. That's awesome. I recently got Wormspan, which is the dragon themed one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't tried that one yet.
It has slightly different like gameplay than Wingspan.
Yeah.
But you get all the beautiful illustrations are all dragons, and there's like the various sizes, and I just squee every time I see a new dragon.
Yes.
So it's right now it's in my like shelf of opportunity because we just ordered it. Like, we saw it on the Stonemeyer website, and we were like, we have to get this game. So I totally feel you on that mechanism from Wingspan and Wormspan. It's a really great game.
My partner Sarah actually has some thoughts on that style of game. So it's it's a competitive game, right?
Yes.
But it's one where everyone is kind of sort of competing against themselves. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And that creates a space where you can feel like you can win without making someone else feel bad and feel like they're losing.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the strengths of that game. And Sarah's really interested in exploring that idea and like getting more games out there that have that kind of feel. So
cool.
That's another thing that we're
That's awesome.
For the future.
Yeah. So did Sarah help you with the design in Super Squad High?
Yes, yeah. So Sarah is also a game designer. Sarah's role for this game is game developer, which is the person that comes through and takes the wild mash of ideas that the designer came up with and turns them into a real game.
Right.
So the core game, it took probably about 5 tries to come up with something that actually felt like a real game. And then Sarah's been working with me for the last year or two to polish it up and remove the things that just feel like baggage, and she's had a huge impact on the end result.
That's awesome.
It like a nice tight, easily playable game.
That's awesome. So how did the idea of Super Squad High come into play?
Oh yeah, so I used to watch a lot of superhero shows on the CW.
Ooh, were you a Smallville fan?
Smallville,
Roswell,
Arrow, and Flash.
Roswell was kind of more super sci-fi, but yeah.
Right.
Ooh, the Flash, yep.
Yeah, and then around 2015, 2016, I really got into Batgirl of Burnside, which was like a short run of the Batgirl comic, where she kind of like got reset to zero. She's living in an apartment with a bunch of roommates and going to college. So she's a student, and she's got like really interesting friends that are in the background supporting her. And like she remakes her costume from like a bunch of DIY parts. So she's got like a motorcycle helmet and a leather jacket. So a lot of that is inspiration. And also Ms. Marvel which is has like all of the like sort of classic Peter Parker elements, but it just had like all this sort of just fresh energy and perspective and personality. So yeah, I just wanted to make a game where you could feel like you were telling one of those stories.
Okay, that's really cool. Tan, how did you get inspired when you heard this idea? What were some of your inspirations for illustrating the characters and the locations and things like that?
I think a lot of the illustration, like, it was like we wanted it to be like bright and poppy and like lots of fun colors, and also still kind of have that like newsprint style a little bit with like the textures in play. And I was just really thinking of like when like we first started like the first print comics, like the way the newsprint colors, they just used a couple colors and they'd like just like lay them on top of each other to make like different colors. So I wanted to like stick to like a limited color palette to try to like have that vibe. Yeah. But I also was like thinking a little bit of like how like, of course, everyone who makes superhero stuff these days are going to say Spider-Verse.
Sure.
Like, yeah. Right. With like kind of like meshing it with like a little bit more of like, I would say like a shapelier style, like more of like cartoony, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was, I also was thinking about Miss Marvel. Like, we didn't communicate that, but it was like in between our minds. We were linked there, which was also like pretty funny.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And so with all of those kind of ideas and things, were there like iterations, Michael, in like the designing process that you all had to go back to the drawing board and say, no, this needs to be more vibrant, or let's kind of make this a little bit different? Where did you all have like revisions as the game was coming to life?
Oh, in terms of artwork?
Yeah.
Well, our process, so Tan, they'll usually give me line work of like what it's going to look like before the process has gotten too far, and there's usually a little bit of feedback there. But my approach with artists, I tend to just I give them a little bit of information up front, and then I want them to express their ideas in the artwork. So then I don't have to come back with a bunch of things that need to change because it's not my job anymore.
That's cool.
But that's what's fun, because he gives me a lot of like room just to like go crazy. Like sometimes I'm just like, ooh, this is just such like a fun prompt. Like I know exactly what it's going to look like. And then other times I have to be like, Michael, I don't know how to do this. I have like 3 versions. I'm not sure which one to go with.
Well, that's great that he gave you that freedom and not just like micromanaging everything, you know, to let you kind of have your creative process go. That's really cool. What was the thought, Michael, behind making this game be like a somewhat cooperative adventure versus like each person is going to be their own superhero and whoever can beat the villain first is the ultimate winner?
Well, it did actually start out that way. So the very first version of Super Squad High, you were teen superheroes that were all competing for a slot in the Super Squad.
Okay.
And everyone had their own neighborhood to defend, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't feel good. And it was even to the point where you were competing with each other for sweethearts and besties. And like some of the early playtesting, people had there was a lot of like those like laugh out loud moments while people were competing for for relationships, but it just really wasn't coming together as like a cohesive thing. It was it just felt like there was something non-superhero-y about it. So I tried making it co-op, and there were a lot of different versions, but it really clicked when it turned into you have these crimes that you're that are a common problem that everyone's trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
I had input from one playtester that, so originally you got clues by fighting crimes.
Okay.
And that just meant that the relationships were just sort of a nice to have because it gave you a little bonus, but it wasn't the driving force. And I had a playtester suggest, well, this is the part that you really want to highlight most because it's the most interesting, forming relationships. So that should be the thing you do to get the clues that you need to discover who the villain is. And then everything kind of clicked after that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. I love that playtesters can give you that feedback because I think that's so valuable. I personally am a playtester, and I feel like if I can be heard and like some of my input given can be helpful, I find that's really valuable for the overall like game design. So that's really cool to hear that a designer actually took to heart like what someone said in the playtest. That's really cool.
Board game design is very iterative, very iterative process.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tan, are there parallels to that in on the art side? So like for board games, it's a bit like trying to make a comfortable chair, but you don't just make one chair, you make like 30 or 40 chairs and just make tweaks to the next chair every time.
Yeah. Like I did like work in video games briefly. So video games are very much like that, like because it's like game design, right? It's like the same type of thing, and it's just like we just need this to sort of work now. Yeah, that's like all we need right now, and then like we'll fix it later. We'll figure out how it works later, type of thing.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. How just to hear like how it's kind of more of a collaborative process too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool. Question for Tan. Panda asks, were you into board games before working on these games?
Yes. I would always like drag my friends to board game cafes and we just would play everything. It was like what we would always play Betrayal like on House of the Hill because it's like also another like kind of cooperative game. And then like I love like having a little trader thing thrown in the mix because that's just personally me. I just think it's kind of fun, and like I love like all the games where you get to explore stuff and like card games, and it's just games are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And Panda, before you came in, Tan was also mentioning that they enjoyed deception type games. So if we ever meet in real life, Tan, find Panda and I, we will play a deception game with you. Like Avalon or Coup or something like that. Yes. Sheriff of Nottingham, you know. Yeah. Yeah, we're always up. It's so funny because that type of gaming is like a niche market. Yes, exactly. Panda says I'm sus. It's such a niche market of people because there's oftentimes that sometimes gamers they take it way too seriously and they're like, oh, you were so mean in that game. And you're like, it's just a game. Like it's just for fun. Like whenever I do an RPG or something like that, I always want to be the chaotic evil person in the team. And a lot of my DMs don't enjoy that because they're just like, you're just throwing chaos into your adventuring party and you're creating these side quests that are unnecessary. And I'm like, but that's fun to me. Like, I want to storm into the dragon's lair, guns a-blazing, while everyone else is trying to conjure up potions to heal me when I die. Like, that's just me. So I get it. Yeah, so Panda and I are up for that, Tan. Whenever we meet IRL, we'll get some deception going on. Good evening. Are you up there too, Michael? Are you in there?
I am notoriously bad at deception games. I never have any idea what's going on. I really like them. I have a design I'm working on it's going to be like a nautical horror game.
Okay.
Where you play different members of the crew, and so everybody has a secret goal that they're trying to accomplish, but the setup is your goals might actually overlap with other people.
Okay.
And you're allowed to choose somebody that you're going to form an alliance with. But you only get to do that once per game.
Ooh.
So I think that'd be a really interesting series of decisions.
Can I vote for a Kraken to be in that game?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
that would be
mermaids.
Yeah, any kind of just sea creature that's a little sus to begin with. It's like, yeah, pirates have their own little companion, a little monkey or something. But what if you were like the leader of the Kraken clan or something? Oh man, sorry, we're getting too off track. Gaming is so wonderfully multifaceted, and I love it. But we're here to talk about Super Squad High. So while we're doing this, let's transition over to the game Kickstarter site, friends, and you all can see how everything's going over here. Oops. Go back. There we go. So we've got Super Squad High here, everyone. It is currently fully funded. Congratulations to y'all.
Thank you.
It is super exciting. They're in the last few hours of the campaign. And I'm going to see if I can pull it up over here. Oh, come on now. Let's go over here. There we go. And when you're working with dual screens, sometimes your screens don't want to cooperate with each other. So bear with me, friends. Here we go. We've got it. There. It's so nice and pretty. Awesome. So 13,000, 11 hours to go. Super, super excited. Michael, you were mentioning to me, and I don't know if you want to share this or not, but because you are fully funded, the question always remains, are there any stretch goals to this campaign?
Oh, why, yes, of course there are. So we're doing something kind of cool. So with a lot of campaigns, their stretch goals will be UV coating, spot UV on the box, or slight upgrade to the card quality, or or we're going to add in 2 cards, things like that. So our stretch goals are adding new systems to the game. This is all things that we've play tested, but we left out of the core game just so we could have, what we say in the publishing industry, minimum viable product. So it's you want to keep the cost down per unit. That's boring. I shouldn't talk too much about that. Sorry. But what is exciting are the things that are actually going to go in the game. So if we hit a certain funding goal, then we can put more in the game. And then even if the cost of each individual game is a little bit more, we can print more. So that helps reduce the cost. So anyways, the cool things that we're adding. So we've actually already hit our first funding goal, which is our first stretch goal, which is villain powers. So if anyone watched either the stream with Jess back at the start of the month, or Amanda Arena's streams, in addition to the base game that's there, so villain powers, once the villain is revealed, then a new special ability comes out for that villain that's specific to that villain. And it helps add a lot of personality. So we were talking earlier about, I think I mentioned the photo bomber. So so the photo bomber puts out photo bombs in every neighborhood. They start out face down, and some of them are decoys.
Okay.
And so you can use actions to flip those over to see if there's actually a bomb there. So it's a little bit of balance of, do we spend a bunch of time trying to find these bombs, or we flipped over a few of these, but now we're running out of time and we really need to do all the other things that we need to do to keep the city safe. Do we risk, this one's probably not a bomb, or do we know for sure this one's not a bomb because we've already found so many bombs? So it just becomes like this other thing that you have to think about, and adds a little bit more tension, a little bit more difficulty, a little more pressure on your time. So that one's fun.
That's awesome. Ooh, and you're close to this one. The dilemmas. Yeah. What's that one?
Yeah, dilemmas. So every high school student has, like, you can't have a story about high school students without having some drama. So these dilemmas add a little bit of drama for each individual player. And so it's a problem that they have to deal with. So they might have like a sick classmate that they have to go and visit, or they might have a big exam that they have to study for, or if they're an athlete, then they have to prep for a big game. You could also have a bully, or you might have a crush that you're trying to build up the nerve to talk to, and that sort of thing. So it becomes a thing that it gives you kind of like a debuff, so a slight negative to what you can do every turn throughout the game. But if you spend time on it to kind of progress that part of your story, then you'll get a big reward for resolving it.
Oh, cool.
So it just gives yet another thing for, it's going to add a little bit of story to your playthrough as an individual player, but then also give you a thing that you have to manage in addition to the problems that everyone's trying to solve together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Marie says, I like the art style for this. It pops out, and I bet it looks good on the table. I can attest it does look good on the table when we play TTS. And Tan did a lot of the wonderful illustrations for it, so you can thank them right here. Good job, Tan.
Thanks so much. It is really nice to hear that people love what it looks like.
Yeah, it is very fun, very colorful. Okay, and then we have yearbook mode.
Yeah, yearbook mode. So that ties everything together. So high school, that's 4 years, right? So I was thinking it would be great for this game to have like a reason to keep playing. And a lot of games have campaign modes. So yearbook mode is my take on campaign mode for Super Squad High. So you play 4 games that are all interconnected. So you play the same heroes each year, and you start out as freshmen, and you're working your way to your senior year. The extra twist that's going on is that there is a mastermind that's behind the villain that you fight each year.
Oh.
And if you successfully defeat a villain each year, you'll get a mastermind clue. And if you get enough of those, then you'll start out knowing information about the villain in the very last round, your senior year. And it also ties together all of the other stretch goals, all those other systems, because each year you play the game, we add another system to the game to make it more complicated, more challenging. Whoa. So freshman year, just base game. Sophomore year, now you have villain powers once the villain's revealed. And then your junior year is everybody gets a dilemma. And then senior year puts it all together. You play with the more difficult crimes, and you have just kind of like a short, really tense game to kind of wrap everything up.
Wow. That sounds awesome. I like that, like, legacy style, how, like, things build on each other. That's a really cool idea. Very cool idea. Maurice also says, oh, snap! Great job, Tan. It's nice to see art that's cute and fun instead of Elden Ring all over the place.
It's so good.
Love it, love it, love it. And then, of course, more meetups. You just add, it's just more additional content to, or is there something different to these?
No, so that one is just additional cards for the meetups. So the meetups are kind of like your little social encounters to form relationships with your classmates, which you need to do in order to win the game.
Yeah. So all the reasons for everything. Oh, and discounted price for US and Canada for shipping. Love that. Love that. It's not really too expensive to ship, even though I know shipping is atrocious.
It's been rough this year.
Yeah. Yes, Maurice, Michael is the designer. This game looks dope, he says. Well, you have 11 hours to back it.
Yeah.
11 more hours, Maurice, to back it. And
help us get to those other stretch goals. We'd like to add more to the game.
So here we go. Bam.
It's more work for Tan.
Yeah.
Do more artwork.
But I feel like they enjoy it.
I don't mind. Yeah.
I feel like they enjoy
it's
it.
Fun.
Okay?
It's fun.
Yeah. And if you are interested in seeing how the game plays, Maurice, there's a VOD for my channel on my YouTube, and then also Amanda Panda has one, as well as Radiant88 has one. So you can kind of see how the gameplay is. I will say our 3-player game with just the 3 of us here was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I felt like we were pretty in sync with all of our abilities. Like, I felt they complemented each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And there were a few times where one of us or 2 of us would be like, I don't need your help, guys. I got all this stuff. So I'm just going to fight this crime. And everyone else is like, yay, good job, team. You know? So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. And you will see, friends, there are some familiar faces of people that have played this game. We've got the lovely Ilya and Tyler of Kavre. They are also mentioning how this is like queer friendliness, because some of your relationships that you can build can be between people of same genders, or there's like non-binary or binary fluid characters as well. Was that intentional going into the game, or did that just kind of happen, Tan, with your artwork and everything?
Oh, that was intentional.
Great.
Michael laid it all out. And that's one of like the things that I love working with him is like, it's so nice to see characters that like look like you and like your friends that you like hang out with. And it's awesome. I love having diversity in games.
Yeah. Maurice,
Me
what are you
too.
talking about? Going off and being Miss Chaotic? I would never. Just kidding. Yes, it was me a couple times, I would say. It was me. Guilty as charged. Michael, what were you going to say about the art?
Just that, yeah, so about 10 years ago, pretty much any game you look at, it was the characters all looked very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And even back then, when I was thinking about, well, what would I do if I were the person in charge of what goes in these games, and it would be what we did with Super Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I want the characters to look like what my friends look like, right? And I want anybody that plays the game to be able to say that too. So yeah, it was super important.
There's a lot of diversity in this game. And I am all here for it. And I feel like they all each have their own little like quirks and personalities too. So I don't want to say they're not stereotypical. Like I could just feel like, oh, this person has their own personality, and this person I could relate to them. Like this would definitely be my bestie in real life in high school, you know? Like it wasn't, to me, it felt authentic. Tan, and I think you did a really great job into like adding the personal touches in here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there's
agree.
It doesn't seem like there's like, you know, you have your typical cheerleader and your jock and everything too. It's like you have those roles, but the images behind them are more organic, I feel like. So yeah, they came out really, really well. So yes, friends, this is Super Squad High. You will get all of these cool. Look, okay, so player color again. I am such a fan of the player colors, because it's not your primary colors, friends. We got some secondary colors in here.
Yeah. Did you know you can get actual physical meeples in those colors? Believe it or not.
It's like, what? Really? It's like, oh my word. Like I love certain games of like trying to keep with like the aesthetic of it, you know, but I'm over beige games, y'all. I'm over beige.
Yeah, me too.
Like, can we can have some beige. It doesn't have to be completely beige. There's other colors in the color wheel that we can add to these games. Yeah. So, this is really cool. So we've got all of these, everything that's going to be in here, friends. It's going to be quite the experience. Grayish, says Gus. Yeah.
Oh.
Grayish. No.
Off-white.
Off-white. What do they call it? They call it like eggshell or something.
Eggshell.
Oh,
Something
yeah.
silly. Something silly. So yeah, friends, last few hours of the Kickstarter, it has already funded, but to get your hands on it, I have the link there to sign up and support it. And even, I mean, there's even things you can add to it. So if you want to just be a part of the pledge manager, there's a simple pledge for just $1. And there's also things that you can probably back in, like add to it as things come about. Because, you know, Kickstarters are launching all the time, friends. I get it. I'm a board gamer. Tuesdays are like the bane of my existence because that's when Kickstarter campaigns like launch, right?
Yep.
And that's when, you know, you just see your paycheck just go out the window. But yeah, this is really, really exciting. So from here, Michael, do you all have places that you will be showing off the game, like when it comes into production? I know it probably takes a few months to get the production started. And when are you hoping to have it distributed? Sometime next year?
Right. Yeah. Early next year. So I'm hoping that we'll have it ready to take to the Gamma Expo in March. But we're going to start the printing process this summer.
Okay.
It just depends on how long it takes, and overseas freight can take
a long time.
Amount of time.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have all experienced
we got some wiggle room in there.
Okay. Very cool.
So if everything goes well, then hopefully it'll be out in the world early next year.
Very cool. We're hoping to see some more content from you and Nerdy Pup. Michael, do you have anything on the table at the moment that you're working on while this crowdfunding campaign? Or is it kind of just like, I need to focus on Super Squad High, and then I'll put all my other ideas back into
let me tell you, it's been Super Squad High day and night around here for like 2 years.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. Same with you, Tan. Just artwork on that. Yeah. Hey, that's totally fine. I know a lot of folks that if they have a design that they're so passionate about, they just like, they want to see it all the way to the finish line. And so it's just like, let's just get there. That totally makes sense. But you do have other ideas, right?
I do have other things. I do. Yeah. Okay. We do have other things that we're working on. Sarah is actually working on a really cool idea for another Dungeon Date game.
Okay.
Where you are working together to take down a monster, and you can befriend or romance the monster's minions
to
help you in your fight. So it's coming along pretty well.
That's very cool.
Yeah, we don't have a timeline for anything yet. Some other things. So this is actually something I'm really excited about, and I'm hoping I get to work on it more here in the future. So I am working on a game. It's a ballroom dancing game where it's a miniatures game where it's non-violent. You're playing dancers on a dance floor, and you're trying to partner up with different dance partners. And you maneuver around the dance floor. I don't know if either of you are familiar with Gaslands.
No, I'm not.
It's a car combat game that people play with like Matchbox cars, and they just use shaped templates for their movement. So it does something sort of similar to that. And you can either compete. So everybody is playing kind of like nobles in their own noble house, and you can compete for just like prestige, for having like dancing with the best person, or you can have a round where there's a debutante and they're trying to secure the best suitor. Or you could even play like a round that's intrigue, and you're trying to pass like secret letters across the dance floor without someone else intercepting.
Okay.
So that's work in progress. I would love to like build and expand a world for it that is like inspired by sort of like the Regency era, but isn't like strictly historical. Something that has room for all kinds of people, all kinds of relationships. So you have dancers and suitors, but those aren't gendered roles. Those can be whoever you want. I'd really love for this kind of game to get people interested in miniatures painting and miniatures games that would maybe they wouldn't be interested in painting a space marine, but they might want to paint like a beautiful ballroom gown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am all for mini painting, Michael. I have my adventuring party up here.
Oh,
I have, and so hold on. I need to show these off because I'm super proud of them. They're just random miniatures that I was given. They're not in it for any particular game, but I just have like random people. So I've got my little mage person. I've got my rogue fighter here.
Nice.
So yeah, anything that's like, oh, here's I have my ranger. I was inspired by Peter Pan a little bit here.
Cool.
Yeah. So I am all about mini painting. So when you said interested in painting miniatures, I'm like, sign me up. Yes, please. Nice. That's very cool. And so that's going to be another idea. And then also your maritime game.
Yeah, that one's got a lot more work. That's early stages. Oh, and another game I'm really excited about. This might be the thing that we are going to move forward with. Probably it's the most likely candidate for the next thing to do is so back in the 1930s, there was an air derby of all women pilots that went from, I believe, California to Ohio, which I'm from Ohio. I live in Ohio. And like Amelia Earhart competed in it, and like a bunch of just really amazing pilots you've never heard of. And they risked their lives. A couple of them died in the process.
Oh my God.
and like a lot of them, like some of them were in sort of like experimental planes, and they didn't make like their planes didn't make it all the way, and they just had to like quit before they could reach the finish line. And it was just like this grueling, just day after day of them doing short flights, and then they would have to land and do all like these sort of like press events.
Ooh.
So we've been working on a game where you're a pilot in that race. All the characters would be the historical pilots that were in the race. You could choose from the different pilots, and then you're doing different legs of the race and maintaining your plane. So it's like you've got like different things going wrong with your plane that you have to manage, and then sort of like doing a sort of like sort of like press your luck with how far you push your plane in order to get ahead of everyone else, while also balancing how you have to stop so many places to gather like press events to build up your prestige.
Wow, that sounds really neat. That's a very cool concept.
Yeah. No, your concepts are always so cool.
Yeah,
Thank
even
you.
Amanda Panda saying that's so cool. That's amazing. Tan, do you have other projects that you're currently working on? Perhaps on your social media that people can check out?
I don't have anything going right now, just because like my personal life has been a lot this year.
Sure, that's fair. Totally fair.
Yeah, I do have social media every now and then. I do be like, I draw sometimes, the classic artist on social media moment.
Here's the thing that I doodle on the back of my dad's files.
Don't undersell yourself, Tan. You've got some wonderful art out there. People should definitely go check out your artwork on all your social accounts.
Thanks, Michael.
There's some good stuff out there.
Yeah. And there's their handle right there. Agreed. See, Panda's agreeing with you.
Aw, thank you, Panda.
Agreed. Yeah. Will either of you be at any conventions this year? Any tabletop conventions that we can see y'all at?
I am I'm slowing down a little bit on conventions this year. I will be at Origins in Ohio. That is in June. Usually I go to Gen Con. I don't think I'm doing Gen Con this year.
Okay.
And anything else, we'll see. I might go to Grand Con, which is in Michigan, which is a
Yeah.
nice convention.
Nice. What about you,
It's
Sam?
closer up here.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I feel like my personal life, like, don't want to get too into it. It's kind of like, I don't know where I'm actually gonna like end up moving at the moment. So
Gotcha.
I'm kind of like iffy on travel plans.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to be at Gen Con. That's the first one for me, the big one for me this year, but that's not until August, but it still just seems like it's like going to be tomorrow, you know, because next week is
Yeah.
May, and you're like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, half the year is almost gone by. Like, that's insanity.
Oh my god, no, it's January.
Yeah.
It's still
No, it's
January,
not.
guys.
It's not. I'm still learning to write 2024 on things.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like-
No, the other day I almost wrote 2014 and I was like, oh my
No.
god, I'm way off.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I go into like an appointment or something, and I'm like, "What's the date today?" Like, I have to look at my phone, which is so funny because as growing up as a kid, you had to like remember your phone number, remember your address, remember what day of the week it is. You know, it's just it's so funny, so funny. So I get it. I get it. Well, I will say this has been fantastic to have you both here. Hello, Kimma. Yes, happy Earth Day. That's
Happy
right.
Earth Day.
Oh.
That's right. Did either of you do anything fun to celebrate the Earth today?
I went outside.
Yeah,
I also went outside.
me too.
It got rained on a bit. Let's go, Earth.
Yeah. Oh, it was really nice here. We have beautiful weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think-
Go ahead, Tan.
Oh, yeah, the cherry blossoms down in the park, like by our street, were in bloom. Like, this is the cherry
Nice.
blossom week, so that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, cherry blossoms are beautiful. Here in Oregon, we've got a lot of trees around, and so I'm just excited to see all the different colors and how, you know, how things are blooming, and then which ones are going to have fruit and which ones don't, and then the squirrels get all excited, you know, because everything's turning to be all pretty and everything. So yeah, Earth Day. Kimma, did you do anything for Earth Day? Let's see. Ooh, Kimma said today I played Earth, the board game. During Earth Hour, we turned off all the power and played by candlelight and lantern. Wow.
Oh,
Nice.
and lantern.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, playing
I've heard-
Earth.
I've heard that game is really good.
It is
Earth, the board
good.
game.
It is
I haven't tried it
good.
yet.
It's the strategy is hard to master, I will say, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of engine building in the cards that you play. So like the order of when you play cards gives you better scores and things like that. Yeah. But yes, that's really cool. Earth Day. They need to have more Earth themed games. I feel like that'll come. Maybe Michael can design one about the Earth. Yeah. It's your favorite board game. Oh, cool. That's really cool.
Oh, nice.
Well, this has been awesome. Michael, Tan, any final words you want to say before we sign off for tonight?
No pressure.
Oh,
I feel super.
Wow.
Michael, how do you feel?
Squad.
Tan, how do you feel?
hi.
Not scripted at
Nice.
all.
Mm-mm.
Got it this time. Yeah.
Maybe this
I'm
was
just-
the first time.
Wow. It's that wavelength again. It's going.
Mhm.
Got it. Well, yeah. So I guess thanks everyone for tuning in, and check out the Kickstarter if it sounds like something you're interested in. That's all I have to say. And
Yeah,
enjoy games. Have fun
Mhm.
playing games with people you like.
yeah.
Thank you guys all for all the kind words.
Yeah.
Everyone is so sweet.
Yeah, that's how my community rolls. We're all about community and family and connecting and all of the love here in the chat. And I will also say shout out to Brooke at Leader Games, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have connected with Michael. So it's all full circle. We got to give some love to Brooke.
Yes, thank you. Yes, huge thanks from me to Brooke as well.
Yeah. Love all the games. Awesome. Well, friends, I'm going to send you over to Ambi. Her and Joe Sonda are doing their Puzzle Mondays. They collectively work on Puzzle Mondays together. They do some of those like point and click adventures and things like that. So stay tuned for the raid. If you all are subscribers to the channel, please feel free to use the raid emotes. If not, basic emotes are just fine. And thanks to Michael and Tan for joining me this evening. Everyone, be safe, enjoy your board games, be kind to one another, and we'll catch you on the next stream. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.